Get a mic check here, 1212, episode 12, no gruffs given. The hardest part in the 2 weeks to flatten the curve is the first 630 days. Episode 12, no gruffs given. The hardest part in the 2 weeks to flatten the curve is the first 630 days. We are in California, and I still see people wearing their masks outside, walking their dog by themselves. All right? True story. That is truth. Next time I'll take a picture and I'll show you. Okay? Who are these people? You know, I guess that's what I wonder. Like, who are these people and where are they getting their information? Okay? Quote of the week, though, not to be outdone by something or things that Joe Biden said. Jake Paul has entered the chat. Okay, Jake Paul says, anyone who voted for Joe Biden and doesn't regret it is part of the American problem. I mean, Jake's got a way with words. Some would say that the kid is a savvy businessman. And I'll tell you what, internally at the White House, they might have the arrogance. First of all, I'm not sure what they have over there because the sink is shipping. The ship is sinking. The sink is is overflowing. The ship is sinking, and it doesn't seem like they are panicked. They keep putting Joe up in front of the cameras. God knows what's going on. But the reason I say this is, if I'm internally, I'm going, listen, Jake Paul has a fairly significant amount of influence over voters. Certainly, any kid that's under the age of 30, like. You see that Jake Paul quote, you might go, oh, well, now all of a sudden it's okay to hate on Joe. We're going to quickly see the shift happening. We're seeing a little bit of it happening on mainstream media. Obviously, this January 6th committee, the primetime circus that they are rolling out, I think that the majority of us, all right, the patriots out there, are really just rolling our eyes at this point. And what's so interesting, they're so stupid. You know what I mean? Because if you saw the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, the reason we were so interested in it is because there was friction, right? You had friction from Amber's legal team, Camille, and then Johnny's legal team, not Camille. Her name was maybe Camille, and the other one was, I don't know what the other one's name was, the other gal, the other woman's name. But they were debating. I mean, it was a trial, okay? Speaking of which, this is going to come out on Wednesday. Today is Monday. I have to fly to New York tomorrow for the trial of the century, my big trial. Will they show? I don't know. Will justice prevail? I don't know. I hope I make it back. I hope I'm not incarcerated. And, Michael's going to have to take over the show. Episode 12, no gruffs given. Anyone who voted for Joe Biden and doesn't regret it is part of the American problem. Jake Paul. I'll tell you what, we got some people to thank, which is very exciting. By the way, episode 12 brought to you by spreads.ca. I'm looking at the outrights right now, currently. Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning. Colorado Avalanche, 157 series winner. Tampa Bay Lightning, 250 series winner. That means that right now, the odds makers have the Tampa Bay Lightning losing the series. I was going to say winning the series, but the lower number means that that's the team that they think is going to win. Everybody's thinking Colorado's going to win. We'll get to that. But also Conn Smythe Trophy. Some interesting Cale Makar at a 280. To win the Conn Smythe, which I think is a pretty good bet. I mean, if anyone's coming out of, who can you give it to off of Colorado at this point if they win the Cup? It's got to be Cale Makar. I think he beats Nathan MacKinnon, although Nathan MacKinnon pays out more. Vasilevsky pays out $5. I mean, don't be surprised if you get a curveball. If you look at Tampa at this point, who could you give the Conn Smythe to other than Vasilevsky? I mean, round 2, he was lights out. They swept Florida. He was lights out. He played great against the Rangers with the exception of 2 games. I mean, you could give it to Cooch. Point hasn't been there. Hedman's certainly it's been a rocky road. They've made it, but it's been a rocky road, and it sort of lends to the adversity this club can handle and how deep this club really is. I think that Vasilevsky bet is a no-brainer. Stamkos pays out 16. There's a crazy argument for Stamkos to be the Conn Smythe winner. He has scored some big goals quietly, game-winning goals, a lot of game-winning goals. Matter of fact, I think a few overtime winning goals. So episode 12 brought to you by our friends at spreads.ca. People to thank, okay? Listeners, I'll tell you what, we want to thank a bunch of you because you found it in your hearts to make just donations. All right, we talked about it last week. Venmo, which is actually, you can only donate if you're in America. We have to find an alternative for our Canadian friends. Canadians can't use Venmo. I'm going to task you with trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Brendan Patton, $20 donation. One word, substance. That's all he said. All right. So thank you, Brendan Patton. You're a man of few words, and I totally understand what you're saying. Dan Oshberger, Vampire Deuce. Thanks again for the signed book. Keep keeping it genuine. Hope Nash is still killing the game. Look good, feel good. So Vampire Deuce from brother Dan. Joe Merlino, good luck in court next week. Instead of a shout out, I request that you check out your Instagram DMs from me at JC Merlino. I'm not normally starstruck, but we met at a juice bar near your old place in NYC, and it was great. So I appreciate it. Let's go Rangers. $25 donation from brother Joe. Ethan Lippman, thank you for the pod, the book, and the countless memories on the ice. If you could say, does your company use Slack? Do you want to see something cool? Check out Dovo, www.dovo.app. Your sales team will love it. You will love it, and it's free. Ethan says, we appreciate you. Sean, I say, brother Ethan, we appreciate you. $36 donation. So all in all, a good start, and you got to be happy with it. Connor McDavid. You know, guys, listen, ladies and gentlemen, huge female audience, by the way, and I love all of you ladies that listen. Some of you ladies have gotten your dads on the pod. It's a full ecosystem. What was I going to say? I was going to talk about something. I just totally forgot.
Probably Connor McDavid.
Oh, Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
All right, so at the end of the season, right, you have this long regular season, 82-game schedule, playoffs. It's an unwritten rule that at the end of the season, once the season is completely done, you go out as a team, as a unit, and you get blind drunk, right? You usually take the fine money that has accumulated over the course of the season because guys fine each other. So you have unwritten rules, you have written rules that the teammates, that the guys on the team, they enforce. This is outside of any team fines. So there's a fine master, and he keeps track of all the fines. So if a guy, if a guy takes a number 2 on the plane, he probably gets fined, okay? I would say that the kid off of the Rangers probably got fined for thanking his girlfriend's grandmother for dying.
Yeah.
He probably got fined. Who was that guy?
Tyler Mott.
He probably got fined for that. I got some hate mail from somebody that was very angry that I went at Tyler Mott about that. Wow. But anyways, the fine money. So you get a couple of tables at the club, probably do a barbecue, maybe a light dinner at one of the boys' houses pregame, and then you hit the town. Video has surfaced this morning, an alleged video of Connor McDavid inebriated, shit-faced, and by the way, you know, he was due. I mean, I got no problem with Connor going out and get rip-roaring drunk. The only problem is he's walking hand-to-hand with a girl that's not his girlfriend that we all know to be his girlfriend from the Architectural Digest video. Call back to that maybe 8 weeks ago, probably longer. who designed the abode that they live in Edmonton that they'll probably never be able to resell because, who's going to buy it with a fucking basketball court that you can't shoot three-pointers in? That being said, she was not the gal that he was holding hands with, okay? Now, listen, is there slim pickings in Edmonton? I mean, it's been a long time since I've been there. It's not New York City. It's not Los Angeles. And you know what? Looks are just superficial bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you can look good, feel good, and not be a dime piece. You can just be sexy and have a great attitude and be fun and the life of the party. So I'm not saying that the gal that she was with, the gal that he was with was not his girlfriend. What does that mean? It means he was so drunk and that he is actually as good of a walker pretending he's not drunk than he is a skater. Because how do you not know that you walk out of a bar in Edmonton, you're Connor McDavid, you're shit canned, and you're holding hands with a girl that's not your girlfriend, thinking you're not going to get filmed? I mean, everyone has a cell phone now. Kindergartners have cell phones and they know how to use them and record video. How did he not know? Are they on a break? Do we have something? Did they break up during the playoffs? He's going to have some explaining to do. I'm telling you this, gentlemen, because it's not worth it. All right? No matter what situation you're in, no matter how gassed up you are, no matter whether you got into a fight, it's not worth it. All right? If you're going to end the relationship, or if you end it and you take some time, you lick your wounds, and then you go back out on the prowl. But it is a bad look for Captain Canada. I got to tell you that right now. Do I think Lays is going to pull his sponsorship? No. But he's going to have some explaining to do. And the question is he going to explain? Are we going to see some the Justin Timberlake apology when he got caught on Jessica Biel and in New Orleans? That was a weak one. Anyways, he's got some explaining to do, and I don't know what's going to happen. Episode 12, no gruffs given. Somebody sent me a Cameo. My buddy Bobby Lacty. Bobby books a lot of cameos. He uses Cameo the way that it's supposed to be used. But he did something genius. And I don't think a lot of you understand the possibilities with Cameo. He essentially booked a cameo with Scotty Bowman and asked Scotty to tell stories. He asked Scotty in one cameo to create his all-time team, right? His all-star team. And Scotty did it. The cameo was like 4.5 minutes long, and Scotty was having a field day just talking about all these players, telling stories. You got to understand the tool that you have here, which is something that I didn't have the capability of accessing when I was a kid. If I could have booked a cameo with Brett Hull and asked him about his snapshot, or, Dougie Gilmore and ask him, how do you get under the opponent's skin? That would have been my Christmas present, graduation present, birthday present, every single time. So I just want to explain to you out there, there's different avenues to access it. I mean, Michael's sitting here because of Cameo. Case in point. Breakup videos. I really want to tap into that market. If you want to break up with your significant other, I think I'm the guy to do it for you. You give me the goods, right? The bullet points, and I will end the relationship for you. If Connor McDavid's ex-girlfriend wants to officially become his ex-girlfriend, I think she should book a cameo with me, and I'll do it smoothly. Because certainly he doesn't, he's not afraid of everybody finding out. So let's turn this into a spectacle. The point is that there's some interesting ways and technology and tools to help you get ahead of the game. And, we're in a goddamn war called life, and the rules of engagement have changed, and you need to use every tool at your disposal. Now, additionally to that, I will say to you, Stanley Cup playoffs are starting on Wednesday. We stream, as you know, on Patreon. Patreon is an alternative service, okay? So Leah Hextall, we'll talk about, not Leah Hextall, what's her name? Emily Kaplan. she asked Gerard Gallant a question on the bench. We'll go through it. It's mind-numbing how bad it is. I think she does it on purpose, but that's fine. So Patreon. First of all, if you're a young hockey player out there and you want to be a pro, if you want to play in the show, if you want to be a big-time player playing big-time games, and you're not subscribed to our Patreon, where essentially it's my Instagram clips all condensed into the entire game, right? Me talking about hockey with Michael, interjecting stats, primarily does some commentary when he gets nervous that there's not enough people talking, but that doesn't matter. It's me breaking down the game. If you're a young hockey player and you want to be a pro and you're not signed up to the Patreon, what can I say? You're not using all the tools you have at your capabilities, all right? If you're just a hockey fan who wants to know everything about the game that you can, like you are subscribed to The Athletic because you like reading articles about hockey, the fact that you're not subscribed to our Patreon, no gruffs given, is mind-blowing, all right? Because I think it's safe to say that I've proven that I have a superior hockey IQ. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in the Stanley Cup Finals. I just got goosebumps. Last week's show, was it last week's show? Did it happen? I don't know. When did I broke down the series and I said Tampa Bay was going to win in 6. Did I say 6 or 7?
I think you said 6.
I think I said 6. I might have said 7, but I think I said 6. Okay. So again, Patreon is an alternative platform, right? I'm never going to work on a network, primarily because I think I'm going to be on movie sets and not on network sets talking about hockey, right? But also because I'll never get hired to work on a network. Right? Because I don't fit the mold. I'm not part of the team. Okay. For some reason, people in hockey, they don't understand entertainment and how to sell entertainment, right? Charles Barkley and Shaq, there's friction. TNT, it's just a bunch of guys always agreeing with each other. And then, to mix in a sideshow, we'll shave Biz's head on national television. It's a shit show. By the way, Ryan Whitney is making great strides to making Canada great again. His little Pearson Airport debacle got national news, and there's a lot of focus on it. Interesting story you should tap into. Sign up to the Patreon. We are starting the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we're going deep. Okay, episode 12, no gruffs given. All right, couple of things to get through before we get into some hockey talk. As you know, the Pfizer docs are rolling out. I don't know. The tranches are in. And we've got some information from the latest tranche, okay? So an update from the Pfizer docs. December 2020, they knew that the vaccine weaned its effectiveness. Now, you might say, well, we all know that it weans in effectiveness. Well, yeah, we do know today. But December 2020, the vaccine was the savior, okay? The vaccine was going to save everyone. If you got vaccinated, you were fine. Remember the first round? Vaccines came out. Take the masks off. We're going back to normal. If you're vaccinated, you're allowed to integrate yourself with humanity. If you're not, stay home and die. Well, we then realized, the vaccines don't actually work like they're saying that they work. Well, in 2020, December 2020, they knew that, okay? And they didn't tell us. Now, the initial study, okay, the trials, I just want you to know and understand, because this is a warning. It's warning shots that I'm firing, okay? Primarily being a dad now and understanding that these lunatics are trying to get the FDA to authorize vaccines for newborns to 5-year-olds, which is diabolically evil. Let me just tell you right now, based on information that we now have in front of us. I also am the father of a son who had COVID. He was, 4, 5, 6 months old, and he had COVID. And I watched it, and he fought through, and he was fine. He's a young, strong, thriving boy with no complications whatsoever to the vaccine that he received because he didn't get vaccinated, because he got COVID, right? So, all right, that's one thing. Okay, so the initial study, it was done on 44 French rats. And all of the scientists who conducted the study were either shareholders, employees of BioNTech. BioNTech is that's Pfizer in a nutshell, basically. So all of the people that were involved in the trials, they were either shareholders or employees. Now, why is that? Does that sound normal? Well, no, it doesn't. Okay, you have to have bipartisan involvement. Okay, you can't cloud the waters by having a bunch of people that work for the company conducting all of the scientific fucking trials, and then they say, yeah, everything's good to go. No, you need outside eyes looking in. And again, Operation Warp Speed is, Donald Trump, if he runs in 2024, he's going to have to be very careful how he positions Operation Warp Speed. He's going to have to either come clean and face the facts, face the music, or he's going to have to distance himself away from it with truth. Because if he stands up and goes, I was Operation Warp Speed, especially in two years, I think it's going to do more damage than good. 270 women during that study got pregnant, okay? 234 of the 270 women in the Pfizer trials lost their babies, okay? That is a fact. That is, you cannot argue that. That is in the documents that Pfizer is releasing to the public that they tried to keep locked up for 75 years, okay? So if you are interested, I'm saying this as a fucking plea, honestly. Any expecting mothers out there or women that are soon to become moms, just do some research into what's going on. I'm not telling you to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. I'm saying do some research, right? Because again, it's none of my business what anyone does, but this is a gray area because if I'm finding out this information through hardworking people who are digging and going through all the documents, then I feel it's my duty to tell everyone what we're finding because it can't be argued. It's their documents. It's the Pfizer documents. They're releasing it, and we need to know what's in those documents. 270 women got pregnant. 234 lost their babies, okay? 36 of the women talked about blue and green breast milk, okay? 36 of the women said that they had blue and green breast milk. This is after they have been vaccinated, gave birth to their baby, and they are breastfeeding, all right? I'm not going to get into it much more, but there are alarming things in these documents, and I think you need to educate yourself. And I have a close personal friend who has a newborn, restlessness, the not sleeping, was born to a surrogate was vaccinated, mom isn't breastfeeding. It's like you got to be careful around every single turn. You got to have your head on a swivel and your elbows up. All right, now, we all know that there's an invasion on the southern border. I think that it's safe to say. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Okay, what I am is I think America first. I've said it many times that we in Canada and in America, North America, we should have strong economies. We should be independent as far as energy and natural resources. Like, let's be great here, okay? Let's be great here. So the southern border is wide open. I want to break down something that I listened to, okay? Because it really just gives it, I'm going to give it to you in my layman's terms of what I think's going on at the southern border, okay? I think the Biden administration has opened up the border so that they can get as many illegal aliens across the border into America. Why? Because I think that they want those people to think that they're indebted indebted to the Biden administration. I think that they want those people, those illegals, to come across. And when the elections start happening, those illegals go, you know what? We're thankful that President Biden opened up the borders, and we're going to get out there and vote for him. Even though we're not American citizens and it's completely illegal for us to vote, we're still going to do it because, well, we know that essentially the Democratic Party made it legal for illegals to vote. Okay? So that's the first thing. Now, and it's all about the midterms. What the Biden administration is they're trying to do this, and it's amazing how organized they can get. I don't know if you've been privy, but they've had this operation where planes are landing all over the country. Okay, they're leaving from Del Rio, Texas, and all of a sudden, Del Rio, Texas, DHS has this deal with Greyhound buses and American Airlines, right? Well, that's because they're crossing there. Okay. They're crossing there, DHS is sending them on planes, and they're dispersing them across the country. They're doing this in a secret manner because they don't want anyone to know that they're doing this because the midterms are coming up, okay? This is me explaining in layman terms. Now, they are also focused on avoiding any of the mass caravans. So you remember the Del Rio Bridge when they were all waiting under the bridge to get processed they've just eliminated all the red tape. As soon as they get across that river, they get them on a bus or a plane and they get them out of there because you can't have any bad press coming up to 2022, which is the midterms. All right. Del Rio. Why are they crossing at Del Rio? One, it's the shallowest crossing. So the water is the shallowest at that crossing. Think about what we're talking about here. Like we're talking about people that are essentially invading our country, but listen, they're leaving their home countries that are war torn or run by the cartels. Like I understand why these people want to leave, right? Who would want to live anywhere where they're being treated like they're being treated? Okay, if any immigrant from Cuba, you see the Cubans coming across the water in rafts to get out of Cuba. I get it. I understand. Right? That doesn't make it right. I mean, that doesn't make it okay. Okay, so they're coming across because they're shallow water so they don't die. Now, the other thing that's happening is at that Del Rio crossing, the Mexican cartels are not charging illegals to cross. Now, why is that? Because the illegal business has become very, very lucrative for the cartels. They're not charging because Del Rio, Texas, is essentially the southbound hub for all of their cash and gun depot. So the cartels get all of their money from drugs and all of their money from guns in Del Rio, Texas. It's the southbound entrance where all of their deal makings happen. So because of that, they don't want any heat on that business. So they say, you know what, we're not going to charge, we're not going to be running illegals across the Del Rio River because, we already got paid to get them to Del Rio. Now it's every man for themselves once they get to Del Rio because we don't want to disrupt the bread and butter, right? Which is drugs, which is fentanyl, which is killing this country. If you live in any of the Democrat-run cities, Los Angeles is overrun with fentanyl, homeless encampments. Rick DeCrusoe, what's the new mayor's?
Rick Caruso.
Rick Caruso. Rick Caruso just got, did he win the? So now they're having a runoff. So you have to win 50% of the vote to become the LA mayor. Caruso, who I've been told is essentially a Republican who ran as a Democrat, he's going to win the mayor's race, right? And he's going to try and clean up LA because LA is it's a waste haven. I mean, I don't even know how to. If you haven't been here, you should see it. It's bad. Okay, so coming back to it, the cartels don't want to disrupt, so they're not gonna manage that crossing. The other thing that I've been told is that the cartel in Del Rio on the southern border is essentially made up of American state police. Have you seen the movie Sicario? The original movie Sicario. Unbelievable movie. Denis Villeneuve, Josh Brolin. I mean, it's like it could be in my top 5. Zero Dark 30. It's Sicario is so good. It's so good. Well, you'll understand what I'm talking about, right? Because the state police, they're cartel members. There's too much money. They can't say no. So we got a lot of dirty cops at that border that are working for the cartel, and it's completely out of control. I went through the numbers last week. It's about to get bad. All right. I guess this is a me culpa. Is that me asking everyone to keep their eye on the ball? All right. Midterms are coming up. You have to take the time to look and see who's on your local ballots. You have to get involved. You have to penetrate school boards. You have to take the power back, because the only reason we lost it is I guess we just trusted people that were going to do the right thing. Like, I don't have the time to commit to being on a school board. And well, now we know that we have to, because they all got organized and they took the time. Now, whether they were funded by Soros and that's why they had the time, who knows? I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but we got to keep our eye on the prize. And it is America first. And Canada, you people in Canada, let me tell you something right now. Trudeau's here right now in California. His mask is off. He's hobnobbing. He's schmoozing, hobnobbing, whatever the fuck you want to call it. He's living life on taxpayer dollars, and he is a communist who is off the rails. You need to get your country back, and you need to start speaking up immediately. Episode 12, no gruffs given. Speaking of which, I do want to read a couple of things. I want to read the statement from, hold on. Justin Bieber, okay? So Hailey Bieber had a stroke 2 months ago, right? It's probably been clouded, the fact that Justin just came out and released the video that I don't even know what to say, okay? First of all, I think he's a fucking real stand-up guy for releasing the video. I would think if he just went the step further and maybe, I don't know, okay? What I do know is this Ramsay-Hunt syndrome following mRNA SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, okay? This is a letter. Dear editor, Ramsay-Hunt syndrome typically manifests with a vascular rash on the concha and external auditory canal associated with peripheral facial paralysis. This is caused by reactivation of latent varicella zoster virus within the geniculate ganglion in association with factors that influence immunocompromised suppression, including whatever, all right? I'll get to the point. We recently assessed a female patient at our center who exhibited symptoms consistent with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome following administration of the COVID-19 vaccine. At the time of writing, we are not aware of any other published cases of a similar nature, just herpes zoster reactivation in other locations, and Bell's palsy, which is why we wanted to warn of this possibility. Our patient is a 78-year-old woman with a history of childhood in the lower limbs, as well as untreated arterial hypertension. 3 days after receiving the Pfizer vaccine, she began to experience instability, general malaise, nausea, severe pain in the external auditory canal and right half of the cranium. She attended A&E, where she underwent range of tests, including blood tests, a PCR test for SARS, COVID, and a brain CT scan. She was initially diagnosed with flu-like symptoms in the context of vaccination. However, she returned to A&E 2 days later due to a worsening of her symptoms and decreased right side facial mobility. Examination revealed vesiculous encrusted lesions on the concha on the right ear, and house-grade IV right peripheral facial paralysis, a left horizontal rotary. I could keep going on. Okay. This is it's complicated. Evidence of facial paralysis has even emerged from a phase 3 clinical trials with COVID-19 vaccines. Okay. The article reported that 844 of 133,000 cases of adverse reactions to mRNA COVID-19 vaccines received by the WHO by the beginning of March. All right. I know that was a little convoluted. I was trying to get through it. Do some research on this. I wish, and who knows, like, has any of Justin's doctors said, well, we think that this is caused by this? Because generally it's a disease that affects the elderly, as you've seen in this case. Now, all of a sudden, Justin Bieber, half his face is paralyzed. Again, do what you want to do. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself safe. But for the blind leading the blind out there, you have to open up your ears. If you can't see, open your ears and listen to other people, what other people are telling you. Not just the mainstream media, but others, all right? Because we're putting our necks out on the line to give you information that might help. That's all I'm saying about this, okay? But I'm here and I'm going to say it because I'm reading this shit and it's written by doctors and everyone needs to hear it, all right? Episode 12, no gruffs given. Jack Del Rio. So Jack Del Rio is one of the coaches for the DC Commanders. In a nutshell, he came out and said, January 6th, the committee, like, what is this? Okay? What is this? I see videos of people being let in and then being let out of the Capitol, walking in a straight line in orderly fashion. There's a couple of crazies dressed as Wookiees and all the insanity, right? But to compare that to the Black Lives Matter riots, where they burned down cities, again, if you want to argue with me that wasn't the case, peaceful protests are one thing, but lighting federal buildings on fire, stealing, looting stores, that's another thing, okay? Those actions hurt hardworking Americans, okay? Those actions bankrupted businesses, put people into bankruptcy, all right? Those actions were fucking anarchy, okay? So to a certain extent, listen, I think Jack Del Rio kind of makes sense, but also, regardless of whether or not he makes sense, it's his God-given right to be able to say what he said on camera, okay? Now, as soon as I heard it, I said, let's see what happens. Well, guess what? Fucking Jack Del Rio got fined $100,000. He's an assistant coach, by the way. How much money do you think an assistant coach in the NFL makes? Michael, can you check out up the average? $100,000 fine? You want to talk about sending a message to somebody? Again, let me just read you the statement from Ron Rivera, the head coach. This morning, I met with Coach Del Rio to express how disappointed I am in his comments on Wednesday. His comments do not reflect the organization's views, are extremely hurtful to our great community here in the DMV. As we saw last night in the hearings, what happened on the Capitol on January 6th was an act of domestic terrorism. A group of citizens attempted to overturn the results of a free and fair election, and as a result, lives were lost at the Capitol building, and the Capitol building was damaged. By the way, nobody died in the January 6th insurrection except Ashley Babbitt. All of the other deaths were not related to the insurrection. I might get in trouble for saying that, but that is a fact. Just do your research, okay? So the fact that he says that, it's a little bit misleading. Coach Del Rio did apologize for his comments on Wednesday, and he understands the distinction between the events of that dark day and peaceful protests, which are a hallmark of our democracy. Which peaceful protests are they talking about? He does have the right to voice his opinion as a citizen of the United States, and it most certainly is his constitutional right to do so. However, words have consequences, and his words hurt a lot of people in our community. I want to make it clear that our organization will not tolerate any equivalency between those who demanded justice in the wake of George Floyd's murder and the actions of those on January 6 who sought to topple our government. After reflecting on the situation and circumstances, I have decided to fine Coach Del Rio $100,000, which the team will donate to the United States Capitol Police Memorial Fund. I feel strongly that after our conversation this morning, he will have a greater understanding for the impact of his language and the values that our team stands for. So it's interesting how they turn it into a George Floyd issue when I'm not talking about George Floyd. George Floyd, the guy that murdered George Floyd, is in jail for life, by the way. Justice was served. The BLM riots, that's a whole different conversation. And in one breath, he says that he has every right to have an opinion and to speak. Right? He does have the right to voice his opinion as a citizen of the United States, and it most certainly is his constitutional right to do so. However, words have consequences, and his words hurt a lot of people in our community. Like, what kind of fucking nonsense are these people playing with? What's the average NFL assistant coach's salary?
I'm not finding the average, but the highest paid is a guy making in 3 years $5.1 million. So
for an assistant coach?
For an assistant coach, and that's the highest.
Michael, you're gonna make me just Google a fucking average NFL. Come on,
assistant coach
salary.
Yeah,
and that's what comes up.
It says 400,000.
Yeah,
that had changed.
That's exactly what I was thinking the number was.
It's a 3-year-old stat. So
okay. $100,000 of a $400,000 salary. It's a quarter of your salary.
Yeah, and he is a former NFL head coach, so it's not like he's only been making $400,000, but that's a very hefty fine.
It's a crazy fine.
Yeah,
it's so crazy that the only thing that would be crazier. And again, I apologize for reading this, but I have to because it's the only thing that would be crazier. Let me give it to you right now. I have to read it. Press release. Napa County District Attorney is currently reviewing charges regarding DUI suspect Paul Pelosi. Well, guess what? The charges were dropped. I'm not going to read it because I thought this was the statement about the charges being dropped. Nancy Pelosi called Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom called the Napa County Police and said, hey, Paul Pelosi got pulled over. He was drunk. Get rid of the charges. Don't explain it to anybody, right? So why do the rich and the privileged elite have separate rules than us? The people that get up and work every single day, right? The fucking people of this country. Why do they have separate rules? Rules for thee, but not for me, okay? Why is Trudeau in California with his mask off fucking hobnobbing it up on Canadian taxpayer dollars? Because they don't care about us. They have a completely different, they think we're stupid, actually. That's really what it comes down to. The Denver Broncos just sold to Rob Walton and Sam Walton of the Walton family, which is Walmart. $4.65 billion, which absolutely eviscerated the previous high paid for a professional sports team, which was $2.4 billion, Steve Cohen's New York Mets. I guess they just said, you know what? Let's just pay double. We're that fucking rich, all right? 28% of young Democrats approve of Biden's administration, which is down 31 points. So there's still 28% of them out there that approve of what's going on, okay? Like, I have an electric vehicle, an electric motorcycle, and I drive by gas stations and I go, I'm mad. And I don't even buy gas. I can't even believe people that are buying gas, how upset are you out there? Are you upset? Is this bothering you? Denise Richards and Charlie Sheen's daughter, Sammy, She's 18 years old, and she just started an OnlyFans account. Dave, are you subscribed?
No.
Turn your mic on.
No, I'm not subscribed.
I can't hear you. All right, he said he's not subscribed. Oh, I have to be on the I have to be on the earphones. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So if I'm on the earphones, I can hear him, so people will hear it in the feed.
Yeah. If he's recording his mic.
Yeah, Dave, are you?
Like right now, they can hear this.
Okay, are you subscribed to Sammy's OnlyFans?
I did not know she had one until just now.
Are you thinking about now subscribing?
No, I've never seen her before.
Do you know Charlie though?
Yeah, of course I know Charlie.
Personally?
Yeah, from Action Park in Ramble On.
Yeah. Shout out Action Park, Doug Ellen, Kevin Connolly, Ramble On. Soon to be seen in on some major network, hopefully HBO. All right, so that's no fun. So you're not going to do it, okay? Michigan County Police Department has blown through their gas budget, so they now say that they're going to respond to only certain 911 calls, and the rest they're gonna call them back. So, I mean, who decides, I guess is the question. So they don't have any more money for gas. So they're only going to be able to pick certain response calls to go back to. I just read the Thrashers script. Remember the Danbury Thrashers, the TV show? Well, now there's a movie script, and they're making a movie, and the script's already written. And I should be having a audition sent to me shortly. I just auditioned today for a remake of Roadhouse. Everybody out there, you're going to be very happy. They're remaking Roadhouse. The Teamsters Union tells U.S. Foods work stoppages are imminent. So the Teamsters, I mean, they know, right? How do you apply pressure? When you're in a war and the rules of engagement have changed, you apply pressure by any means necessary. So the Teamsters, the union, they're going to stand up and go, we got to renegotiate now, because otherwise people are really screwed, right? So just get ready. Couple of last things. Justice Kavanaugh, all right? So before Jen Psaki left, I think it was the day before her last day, she said verbatim, we certainly encourage that outside of judges' homes. What she was referring to was the peaceful protests that were taking place in front of these judges' homes. So I don't know how many Supreme Court judges there are, but people are protesting in front of their homes, certainly the Republican judges. Jen Psaki said, yeah, well, we encourage that, right? Not we're going to shut down their streets immediately and put armed guards fucking everywhere. No, we encourage that. Well, guess what happened 2 weeks later? A California man was arrested who I think drove to Justice Kavanaugh's home with a gun, with zip ties, with pepper spray, and he was going to assassinate the Supreme Court judge. Now, the only thing I was going to wonder is because we have a Democratic president now, if a Republican judge was assassinated, would then Biden have to appoint a new Republican judge? Because if a judge dies, that seat opens up to whatever party the sitting president is, right?
Yeah.
So I don't, that's a technicality. Maybe some of you have the answer for me out there. And finally, the Fed is looking to hike interest rates by 75 basis points. So get ready. Episode 12, no gruffs given. Stanley Cup Finals is here. We are here. We are ready to go. Michael, what do you got?
Saw a great stat today on the Full Send Instagram. No team has ever won the cup with a player making over $10 million salary.
Wow.
So you look at that's the Rangers, that's the Oilers, that's Carey Price last year, that's...
well, what does it tell you? It tells you that,
just copy whatever Steve Yzerman's doing.
Well,
all those guys kept under 10 million.
To win a Stanley Cup, you have to have depth. The way that you have depth is by having a balanced lineup. And to have a balanced lineup, that means you can't pay 2 or 3 guys 11 or 12 million. It's too much money.
Can I list off the guys over 10 million in the league right now?
Yeah.
McDavid, Panarin, Austin Matthews, Erik Karlsson, John Tavares, Drew Doughty, Mitch Marner, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, Carey Price, Barkov, Bobrovsky, Kopitar, and Eichel.
Man, that the Drew Doughty.
Yeah.
Fuck, say that list again.
Connor McDavid, $12.5 million, highest paid.
Yep.
Artemi Panarin, Austin Matthews, Erik Karlsson with the Sharks.
Oh, that one hurts.
That's probably the worst one.
Wow.
John Tavares, Drew Doughty. That's probably second worst.
that's tough. Yeah.
Mitch Marner, Patrick Kane, which is probably why him and Taves 8 and 9, which is probably why they're still in Chicago. There's talk that DeBrincat's going to move.
So Toronto has three of those players on that list.
They have 3 of the top 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all you Leaf fans out there, I mean, how are you going to win?
And look at Vegas signing Eichel $10 million.
Yeah.
Or having Eichel at $10 million.
That's a tough one.
It's tough.
That's a tough one.
But I like that stat. Full send, good stuff over there on that one.
Yeah. What else?
I thought that it was interesting. We were talking about the Emily Kaplan thing, but the Rangers kind of fell apart there at the end, making some panic moves. And Emily Kaplan wanted to dig into Gerard Gallant's brain to see kind of what he was thinking about scratching Kakko.
Yeah.
And bringing in Hunt, scratching Reeves for the second game in a row. Do you want to talk about what?
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we could play the clip. If Scotty plays the clip, you'll see the clip. I think everybody has seen it. I think Emily Kaplan, this is me. If she's smart, she's doing this on purpose because hopefully I think she's thinking, I'm going to elicit the response I got, which was just a no. She asked that question and he said, no, I don't want to talk about it. And then she had to move on. And that's clickbait, right? That
totally
gets eyeballs for her.
Totally.
Now, we all might say, what's Emily Kaplan thinking? I think Emily Kaplan is a genius. I think she's doing it on purpose. I want to talk about the whole Rangers debacle, okay? Because you guys know I sat here and I said Tampa Bay is going to win this series. And I talked about why. And if you remember, I went through it. 5 minutes, Doug. I went through it. I said, this is why, all right? You remember why, okay? There were many reasons why. They didn't have the defensive depth. I didn't think that...
They didn't have the center depth either.
They didn't have the center depth. Yeah, there's a lot of holes there, right? So, interesting stuff that happens, okay? Gerard Gallant, and again, got out-coached by a landslide. He talked too much in the press about calls they weren't getting. You just see the difference between John Cooper and Gerard Gallant on the bench. It's like the complete polar opposite of cool and calm and a guy that was just bursting out of his suit, right? He makes some wild decisions, okay? He finally scratches Ryan Reeves in game 5, okay? He finally scratches Reeves. Now, Reeves should have been scratched since game 1. There was no question about it, even if they won the first 2 games. All right, fine. But this kid line thing. So, and I said it when I saw the New York Rangers post the shift. Their New York Rangers social team posted the shift, and it was the big shift that the kids line had in game 1 or game 2. And I just kind of chuckled to myself, and it was like, be careful, right? Because you still got a lot of series left, and look what happened. Okay.
You said the same thing about Dubas when he was celebrating at the top of the series.
Yeah, exactly. So Gerard Gallant, okay, let me tell you. So the kids line, 140 minutes they had played, okay? 140 minutes they had played. 10 goals for, 5 against. The final 2 rounds, they had 7 goals for and 0 against. So right on its face, right there, the fact that he scratches Capo is just, it's mind-altering dumb, okay? The fact that not only that, the team, that they had only played, kids line trouble started in game 5, all right? They had 11 minutes of ice. By the midway point in the game, they had 4 shifts. So what did I tell you? The team that's going to cycle is going to win this series. I don't care. New York won the first 2 games. Tampa wins game 3, and they saw the tell. They go, these guys don't want to play in their own end. We figured it out. They won 4 straight. So you've got one line that all of a sudden is identifying as the kids line, the shift, and now you don't play them. You don't put them out on the ice. You don't. Not only do you not put them out on the ice, you scratch one of the guys off the fucking line, and you put in Dryden Hunt, who hadn't played since Game 3 of the first round. Okay, it is the biggest disaster I think I've ever seen. Okay, I don't know how you get back from that. Zibanejad, Kreider, their press conference, they're smart. They have their press conference, they're crying, Kreider's crying. These guys are geniuses. Cry, we'll take the heat off of the New York press on us. We care, right? The only problem is, since they scored the first and second goal in Game 3, they didn't score another goal in the rest of the series. Well, how the fuck are you going to win if Kreider and Mika don't score in the final 3 games of the series? You're not. Big-time players play big-time games, okay? Tampa Bay moving forward, I need more from Hagel, although I'll tell you what, Hags' fucking Game 6 performance, ever since his fight, something's happened to his game. And he's my guy, but I need more from him. I need more from Nick Paul, and I need more from Colton. I need more from those 3 guys. We got Braden Point coming back. All right. I mean, listen, a lot of people are taking the Colorado Avalanche. If you take Colorado, I think you're out of your mind. I think you're out of your mind. I think Phil Maroon's going to win his 4th Stanley Cup in a row. Some guy was like, Maroon's a slug. Yeah? Guy's going to win his 4th Stanley Cup in a row. Okay? Anyone that says anyone's a slug that's in the NHL that's not in the NHL, you're a loser in life. All right? You just lose. Okay? But just get ready, because this is going to be a dynamite series, and we're streaming it on Patreon. Okay? Episode 12, no gruffs given. We'll see you next week.